Hello and welcome to Dimzys Domain, and this is a little discussion talking about, are we going to see Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken make a return, whether it be in this arc or the latter arcs? And I'm joined today with a really good theorist. Would you like to introduce yourself, mate?
I like it. You're always the one who plays up the real thing, the realist man, whatever.
How can I not do that?
That's
though?
D-Free. That's not you. That's you. D-Free does another thing, but everyone plays with the real thing. Anyway, hi, real to real Mark, whatever y'all want to call me. Thanks for having me on, Dimzys.
Always a pleasure. Now, I got you, cherry-picked you because you are the man to discuss Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken was a marquee moment in the Universe 6 or Champa God of Destruction arc, and everyone was losing their shit. And when the manga came out, the corresponding manga chapter which showed that fight between Hit and Goku, we didn't see Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, and this suggested that maybe it's more so a little thought from Toei to give a little wink to the fans. Do you think we're gonna see Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken later on in this arc? Because think of it like this. It's a times 10 multiplier. It's one way to overwhelm your opponent easily. He done it against Hit, and now the stakes are much, much higher. Why wouldn't Goku pull it out from his arsenal and use it? What are your thoughts on Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken making a return?
Well, like you said, it wasn't in the manga. I think you're right about that. And honestly, I feel like that's weird. I mean, there's this disconnect as to what is Toei's invention versus what's Toriyama's invention or Toritaro's invention to what's going on in this, and there's just this disconnect. So we don't know exactly like whether that was Toriyama's plan or something that Toei threw in there, and they just wrote it off in that little filler arc that they did before like the Trunks arc that they're doing right now, where it was awesome and that was a huge amount of power, but maybe Goku should never use this again unless Toriyama liked it and he brings it back. So quote unquote, it might kill you. It might kill you. It might make you unable to fight again. So they put that little restriction on it, and with that restriction it makes it really hard for me to believe that they're actually going to bring it back at any given point. I don't think Goku is going to be in that situation where he will use it unless something occurs that is just so heavy and so outrageous that he has to use it in general. So personally, I don't necessarily see him using it anytime soon, especially for this arc. I feel like there's so many other ways that they could kill them at this point.
Yeah, and I think the main thing that they're alluding to is the use of fusion. The thing with Kaioken is that it forces you to be completely focused, because if you're not completely focused, there's massive and horrible consequences. And the thing with Hit and Goku's fight was that there really wasn't much tension in that fight, in any of the fights. Although the Earths of Universe 6 and Universe 7 were at stake, it didn't feel or come across as much to the viewer. And Goku didn't take it as seriously as he should have, which was the complaint of many of us reviewers or people who are discussing Dragon Ball Super. And Goku is truly in his element. He really does excel when he can just focus completely on fighting, as we saw his fight with Cell. But at heart, Goku is a very emotive fighter. Let me give the example of him against Frieza, and during the recent example of when he got annoyed about Zamasu telling Goku, do you know what happened to your family? He completely lost it. And the thing with Super Saiyan Blue is that it truly is a very tranquil state. It's harnessing the power of Super Saiyan God and just making it calm and utilizing it with the Super Saiyan transformation itself. And that's probably my headcanon, and that's one of the reasons why I don't think that Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken is being utilized in this arc, the Future Trunks arc, for sure, because we can't stay calm and collected due to the fact there's a lot of stakes going on, and now that he's pissed off at Zamasu and Black, it's also a testament to how good Black and Zamasu is, but we don't know what's going to happen in the future. I think that there may come a point, and this is probably looking further into the Omniversal, the tournament which encompasses all of the 12 universes. He could maybe use the technique again, but as you said, I completely agree with you. I find it very unlikely. The amount they stressed about how dangerous it may be to Goku, how he could die, there was a 10% chance of him, there was a 90% chance of him dying, and then him not being able to use his ki. Also, they played that whole thing in the Potafu filler arc to also show a copy Vegeta and all that crap. But the thing is, I don't see it making a return, although it makes sense for it to make a return. Quick question, do you think that Toei are going to pull out something which may not have been in the manuscript from Toriyama, or something completely different to Toyotaro later on again? Do you think this is going to be a theme that is ongoing throughout however long Dragon Ball Super runs?
I think so. I mean, I personally feel like Toriyama isn't coming up with pages and pages and pages of manuscripting this story. He's probably coming up with big bullet points that need to be hit no matter what. And then it's up to them to figure out how to fill up an entire episode. So we'll have like basically what only consists as filler moments and filler concepts. I mean, you know, people transforming when they don't need to, people doing certain things that they don't need to, or fights that we didn't necessarily see in the manga was really kind of relevant in the original days of Dragon Ball. You know, you got fights that weren't necessarily in the manga. You got feats that weren't necessarily in the manga but were in the anime. I mean, we've seen this before. The fight with Hit we basically saw before with Pikkon in the Otherworld tournament, and Goku did basically the exact same thing, you know, sans SS Blue, but also you know, he put a 10 times multiplier or something, or at least a 2 times multiplier on his 50 times multiplier, which would make him about a Super Saiyan 2 at that point, with his Kaioken. And I feel like it's just something we're either going to see. If we ever see it again, personally, I feel like the way they've kind of reacted to him using it is going to be really interesting. It's going to put us in an interesting dynamic where if he uses it, it's going to be for the better good. Like, he is going to have no choice but to use it, and at the same time he's going to need to just, like, if he uses it, he's probably going to not be able to use his ki anymore, and it's going to have a lot of stakes into it. So if they do use it, I hope they play off that angle.
So the final question which we're going to end the video on is, we've kind of somewhat concluded and agreed amongst ourselves that this is probably going to be a one-off thing, and is Toei being a bit smart and winking at the fans. But if they're not going to continue this using techniques or transformation or feats which they displayed earlier in the series, later on in the arc or a new arc or along the series, will it affect the storyline or the storytelling, or how they lay out the narrative in a negative way or a positive way? Will there be that disconnect, or will it just be, oh, here's another plot hole, and it's just going to create more plot holes and continuity conflicts between the anime and the manga? And the main example for that is obviously going to be getting back the Super Saiyan God for the fight between here, whereas they got Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken for the anime version. Are they trying to be too smart? Are them trying to be different and winking at the fans? Will it cause more harm, confusion, and misinformation amongst the general fan base?
Just to go off of what you're saying just a little bit, just so I can kind of get in there, I feel like Goku, I haven't seen that big of a problem yet with what you're talking about. Personally, I feel that, you know, in the manga with him going SS God, basically the red-haired Super Saiyan God, I didn't necessarily like that, because at least as confusing as Super Saiyan God is for the most part, I like the fact that the red-haired form is exclusive to the transfer or the ritual, and he can't just completely unlock that. Now, if he could in the anime, and like, that's one thing that is completely different, and if that's going to be a reoccurring theme, I don't necessarily think it is. But that is one distinct difference between the anime and the manga at this point. I don't think the anime has ruined it by saying that they can't get to that without doing the ritual. I actually feel like it's better that it remains that inconsistent, at least for that point, because if Vegeta were to have that form in him, it would make even less sense for the most part. And it makes sense that he was just able to, you know, kind of corral that whole God power key. And when it comes to Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10, personally, I feel like that's also something that's not going to really bite them in the ass, unless for whatever reason Toriyama decides that he liked it. If it wasn't his idea, he liked it and he was going to use it, and it had no negative repercussions, and they just put that in there for, you know, they just put that in there to cover their ass just because they never thought they were going to have to use it again. That's what I basically think it is. But the fact that they did kind of write it off as this is something that has huge negative repercussions, you should probably never use this again, is something that really covers their ass and makes it like a really unique thing for that one specific feat, from that one specific fight. And anything that we see from Goku going forward is going to be that original again, or that kind of concept. If Goku gets anything, you know, a new transformation, a new fusion with Vegeta or anyone else, it's going to be different. It's going to be unique. And I don't think he's going to pull out that trick again anytime soon, if not ever. And personally, I feel like that's going to be something that's interesting. I mean, I want to see different things. I want to see Goku utilize different techniques, maybe even make up his own technique instead of continually learning learning other people's technique, like the Mafuba or the Genkidama or the Kaioken or the instant transmission or instantaneous movement. What do you want to see? The one thing that we need from this series is Goku basically stop utilizing different things that he's learned, or basically things that his body is naturally accustomed to, and do things that he would have done or he could have done had it not been for like him just taking other people's stuff or other people's moves and perfecting them. I want to see Goku make his own technique and not just put everybody's things together personally. And I know that's somewhat rambly.
Essentially, the Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken was him. This was the closest of him trying to utilize and make his own technique, even though it's a combination of two techniques, a transformation and a technique which he learned from someone else. Actually, he learned them both from someone else. You assume he learned it from Whis, the Super Saiyan Blue. He was actually strongly prodded by Whis and guided by Whis to learn Super Saiyan Blue, and of course, Kaioken was from King Kai. But anyway, guys, I'll pass it over to you guys in the comment section. Do you think that Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken is going to make a return, firstly in the future Trunks arc, or later on throughout the series? Make sure you subscribe to Mark, Real to Real Productions. He does the best theories. He does Saw content. He does Dragon Ball content. He does so many things. I can't even list them all out for you to say. Just go to his channel, click the red button, subscribe if you haven't already. You won't regret it, I promise you. So anyway, guys, like, share, comment, subscribe. You may now exit Dimzys domain. Thank you and goodbye.